BMW's R9T has been around for a couple of years now. Triumph's Thruxton R is brand new. These two machines are top of the retro bike class. Both similar price, both similar specs. Which is best? That's what we've been finding out.
Occasionally, two motorcycles crop up that are such direct competitors and so closely matched that no other bike need apply to enter the contest. Two in that position this year are BMW's R9T, which raised expectations of a heritage machine when it was launched 2 years ago, and Triumph's new Thruxton R. We took both bikes out for a blast through some of West Sussex's finest roads. But before we got that far, something struck us. The R9T's black plastic clocks next to the Thruxton R's chrome ones, the BMW's modern-looking aluminium filler cap next to the Triumph's Monza-style one, and the BMW's painted cylinder heads next to the Triumph's brushed cases. The R9T has been out-heritaged, and looks are just the start. The R9T has more power and torque, 110 horsepower and 87.8 pounds-foot compared to 97 horsepower and 82.6 pound-foot, and stronger mid-range. You can ration it and still go fast, whereas the Thruxton R goads you into using all it has all the time. The red line is lower on the Triumph, at 7,000 RPM instead of 8,500, but on the Triumph I found myself going there more often, whereas the BMW had me lazily short shifting. It's clear which is the fastest. In a roll-on third gear acceleration test from about 30 miles an hour, the Triumph briefly took the lead before the BMW passed it and disappeared. With closely matched suspension and brakes, it's going to be difficult for the Triumph to make up that advantage in corners. But the fastest bike isn't necessarily the one you ride the fastest. If I was to get caught speeding on one of these machines, I'm pretty sure it would be the Triumph. That's the one that makes me want to ride it as fast as it will go all the time. It's partly the engine. The BMW's has rumble, but the Triumph has more. The British bike has the cheek to sound more air-cooled, even though it's the one that isn't. It manages to make the Boxer sound and feel a bit modern and sanitised, and that is some achievement. The Thruxton R more convincingly evokes the past. I found the riding position and geometry more engaging on the Triumph too. While the R9T is upright, like a naked bike, the Triumph's clip-ons have you leaning forward. Not as much as on a sports bike, but enough to evoke the spirit of a cafe racer. It focuses you more, creating a better sense of connection with the front tyre, and of the Pirelli Diablo Rossa Corsa's connection with the road. The Thruxton R feels quicker steering out of the two the moment you get on it, probably helped by the smaller rear tyre, a 160 section to the R9T's 180. Both bikes have really powerful Brembo monoblock brake calipers, but the Triumphs give a better sense of precision control, delivering exactly the force you want and no more. Now there is one area where the R9T is more traditional, electronics, but I'm not sure this is in the BMW's favour. Both bikes of course have ABS. On the R9T that's the end of the list of rider aids. The Thruxton R also has traction control, which can be switched off, and 3 riding modes, sport, road and rain, offering varying degrees of torque in response to a given throttle input. It's not a deal breaker on bikes like these. When I first rode the R9T I liked it because of its simplicity, and I was hardly ever out of sport mode on the Thruxton R anyway. But the Triumph's electronics are not overcomplicated or distracting. You can ignore them if you want, so they can only be a good thing, along with its suspension, which is fully adjustable at both ends, whereas the BMW has non-adjustable forks and a shock adjustable for preload and rebound damping. And then there's the price, from $11,900 for the BMW or $11,700 for the Triumph. I can't highlight superior elements of the Thruxton R styling without also acknowledging where the R9T does it better. You can't ignore the brushed aluminium tank, and the BMW's front mudguard bracket is real aluminium while the Thruxton R is plastic. How did that get approved? The Triumph also had a worrying tendency for the engine to die instead of settling at idle speed. It happened to the bike I rode on the launch in April, and it happened several times to the bike we borrowed for this test, sometimes while riding. Both bikes are limited in their capacity for filtering through tight spaces in busy city traffic. The R9T because of its sticky out cylinders, which you have to keep an eye on when weaving between stationary cars, and the Thruxton R because of its bar-mounted mirrors, which clash with those of cars. But that's an aside, these bikes aren't really about filtering. What was more interesting in the city was that for all its beautiful detailing, the Thruxton R didn't seem to attract as much attention from onlookers as the R9T did. Perhaps we should have borrowed the red one. instead of this silver one. Surprisingly, no one seemed to notice it. But if you ask me, that means they're all Philistines. The BMW is still a terrific heritage bike, but the bar has moved. The Thruxton R does it better.